Hi, I'm Leanne Ely. I'm a nutritionist, a New York Times best-selling author, and some people even say I'm a life coach. I started the Daily Dish Show to share my story, my truth, and my journey to vibrancy, and to inspire others to do the same. Because it's all about grit, perseverance, and finding a way despite the odds. It's about embracing the whole woman, not just the parts that are easy to love, and feeding her heart, mind, body, and soul. But I found that this isn't just my story, it's your story too. It's go time. This is the Daily Dish. You ready to get down to business? I sure am. So, what I'm looking at a lot in my own life and what I've seen with coaching that I've been doing with a lot of my clients, and the whole thing is always pivots back to this place of setting habits that work, that are intentional, that aren't a struggle, and that flow. Flow is so important because when we're in flow, and you know what that is, right? When you're just kind of doing that. I was in a group this morning and I'm working on the webinar for tonight because it's all new, by the way. Not all new. It's kind of a it's a tune-up, shall we say. It's been refined. But when we're in that flow, it feels good. We line all the things up. The stars align, as they say. But we feel really good. And we get to the place of no longer just sitting there grunting it out and struggling. We just flow. We just go. And that's what I want to talk to you about today, because I believe from desire to inspire to fire is all about the flow. Yes, there's an awkwardness in always doing something new. I believe that. I've seen that. I figured that out. And you know when I first tried to get onto the bike, and you got to put on the special shoes, and you got to snap in or clip in, as they say, and you're just waiting for the thing to do, and it's wonky. It's weird. It's not new. It's not known. That's what our brains fight us on. But again, if we can just start and we can just say that soon this will be simple, soon this will be easy, soon I'll be able to do this with no problem, things really start to happen because we talk to ourselves. We tell ourselves what it is, and that makes such a difference. It makes such a difference on how you feel about everything. Like an amazing difference. What is that? Let's see. You coach people? Yes, I do. So one of my very, very favorite things ever is one of my favorite quotes ever is "Little hinges swing big doors," because those little hinges can hold the biggest door you've ever seen. But if you've noticed, hinges are very small in compared to the huge doors that they hold. And that's what opens the door. It's without the hinge, the door doesn't open. And for us, and where we are in our lives, desire is that little hinge, because we can't open the door if we don't have any desire to open it, can we? Desire. And yesterday we talked about having that hot desire inside of us, and how a hot desire is way different than wishful thinking. How a hot desire is something that we own. It's something that has come up inside of us because that hot desire has led us to the place of wanting that amazing relationship with your spouse. That hot desire has created a way for you to see the things that you want to see in your life. That hot desire has planted the seed and watered it, in essence. So hot desire is fabulous. Wishful thinking, worthless. It doesn't do anything but frustrate you. You know, it's like wanting to win the lottery all the time. That's dumb. Really, why would we want to do that? So if desire is the fire that creates the goals in the first place, then it's habit that puts the goals on the map, right? And we talk about habit all the time. That's how everything happens. But I think what we want to do is we want to talk about the magic of habit creation and how in the details of all of this stuff, that's how we get to move the needle in our lives. It's so true. And I've got 7 things for you if you're taking notes. Otherwise, it'll be in the show notes tomorrow. But I have 7 things for you that I believe really help you with this habit creation, because I think that when we decide to form a habit because it's something that we want to do, that it really needs to be intentional, and it needs to be set in a way that we know what it's about, why we want it, and what we're trying to do in our lives. That really makes all the difference in the world. You know, it's sort of like when I sit down here, like I said to you earlier, when I sit down here to talk to you, I have an intention. My intention for you today is to get this stuff. My intention for you today is to take this away and that you go, you know what? This was so helpful because this helped me to create this habit that I've always wanted to have in my life. And because this is my intention when I sit down for it. When you have everything framed with intention, you get to that place. So, but number one though is affirmative, is an affirmation. It is an I am statement. It is living in the present of what it is that you want to be, but you do it in the present tense. It's declarative. I am an athlete is one of the things that I've been telling myself. Today, as I was doing my, I wasn't getting down on the ground and doing the burpees and doing the, all of that stuff. But I was like, fine, I'm fine doing this. And I had my weights and I was doing all the weight stuff. And I said, I'm an athlete. I'm an athlete anyway. I don't have to do it exactly, break my back, just like the 20-year-old is doing. I get to take a pass on that, but I don't quit. I modify. In our perfectionism, we get stuck on, I can't do that, so therefore I'm just not going to do any of it. Forget about it. In the affirmative, I am an athlete. In the affirmative, I am eating for my body and not for entertainment. In the affirmative, we get to declare these things about ourselves in the present tense to bring this stuff in. This sets off your reticular activating system. I've talked about this before with pianists, right? A concert pianist, they did a brain scan on him playing a piece, and they saw how all parts of his brain were lit up, different parts, how it did. They had another concert pianist imagine what it would be like. Imagine, close his eyes, feel the emotion, go through all the things, and guess what? Same parts of his brain were all lit up. You know what that tells us? That tells us that as we live in the affirmative, as we create these affirmative statements, I am a concert pianist playing, even though he's not, your brain doesn't know the difference. Your brain doesn't know the difference between you doing and being. Isn't that fabulous? Therefore, we've got the upper hand. At any point, we can say, I am, and say it on a daily basis. I have it up here on a big sticky note, huge sticky note, 2 things that I'm working on right now. I look at them every single day because I'm setting up my environment. Of course, that's different. No, that's another point. But we've got to start with the declarative I am. That's the starting place. And from there, we move to intention. Intentionally doing something, is a completely different thing, isn't it? You know this. If you're intentional to go out and run somebody down with a car versus unintentionally doing something, there's different charges for that, right? There's different charges for that if you get into a court of law. You want to live in intention. Intention creates a commitment. It creates a connection too. This is why every single day I write on everybody's packing slips. Do you know why I do that? I am intentionally creating a connection with you. I can't see you. Sometimes I can see your face because I know you enough from being, on these groups. But I'm deliberately creating a connection with you because you are a part of my community, and I appreciate it. So therefore, I make a deliberate attempt every single day, a deliberate doing every single day to write on those slips, just to let you know. And I address you by your name. I say thank you. And I give you some hearts and some love, some XOs and all of that, and send you on your way. And then I say a little prayer for you as well. You know why? You're a part of my circle. And you know what? Everyone in my circle deserves that kind of uplift. Everybody in my circle deserves to be loved. I need to give them love. I need to give you love. You need to love me back. This is how we create an amazing connection and an amazing community. And when we set our intention on this, when we set our intention on this kind of a commitment, mentally, we're there. We've got that connection. and we're piano even though we don't have keys in front of us. Yeah? Doesn't that just light you up? I hope so. Because these little steps, this is how we set ourselves up. This is the framework for setting up that new habit. And it works. And then because we're taking ourselves seriously, we've got an affirmation, a present tense affirmation going on, right? The I am statement. We're working with intention to make that connection. And then we're moving into the place of taking it seriously by scheduling it out. Habits can be scheduled, by the way. They can. And lest you say, I don't have time, then I invite you to go to savingdinner.com/time, get a time blocking sheet, and use it to find out where the heck your time is going, because we all have the same hours of the day. We all have the ability to map it out and to change things out. You may have more than me, I might have more than you. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because what's important is to find that little piece of love, that little piece of time that you have, and just say, oh, I've got 15 minutes, I could do that there. Oh, I've got 15 minutes over here. I'm going to let go of this so I can have that instead. There's an exchange that happens, but not until you really get a grip of your time. And you can get a grip of your time by looking at where you spend it, because if you're going, suddenly you feel like your brain's been sucked out of your head by Instagram or Facebook or YouTube, endless cooking YouTube videos or whatever it is. You got to make an assessment, sister. You got to just say enough is enough. That's not what I want. I want this. This needs a habit to go with it. And this is how we create it. And then the next thing is, of course, accountability. And I can tell you right now, Lizzie's here. Sometimes Jen is here as well. They're body clutter buddies. They're getting it done. They both have goals and they have ideas in their mind, and they're working toward different numbers, doing different things, but they stay accountable. That accountability is everything. The studies, one after the other, all show that those who are accountable are those who get the results. And take it a step further, if you meet and say, okay, we're having an accountability meeting, it's going to be 3:00 next Friday, and we're going to be talking about what we're doing, how we're doing, and where we can, what's working well and what's not. You help me, I'll help you. Deal? Deal. You do that, and you are going to get yourself to the place of 90 percentile of having your goals met. 90 percentile. You know why? Because it's always in front of mind. You know why? Because you're always creating. You haven't just shoved it to the back and said, oh, there's my goals from 2020. Oh my gosh, I don't even remember them anymore. No, it's front and center, and it's always there. That kind of accountability, it's a transactional relationship, yes, but it's transactional in that you have each other's backs and you expect the best from each other. And doing so is bolstering. It bolsters, and you just feel so good after. Thanks, thanks for that. Or talk to your buddy. I can't even tell you how many times I've texted Marla, she's my body cutter buddy, and said, oh my gosh, Mark's got the chocolate out. She said, get out of the room. It's just like the aliens are visiting. But we all do what we have to do. But the point, though, is having accountability in your community, important. Going a step further, taking it to a body clutter buddy, amazing. Taking it even one more step further and having regular accountability meetings, now your goals are on fire and you can't be stopped. You're going to make them. I promise you're going to make them, unless you show up with a bunch of excuses. But after a while, you'll just cancel out because nobody wants to do that. So you want to get in it, get accountable. That's how it works. Number, 5, it is environment versus willpower. You know what my thing is on that. Willpower is crap. Have you noticed that? Have you noticed that every time you say, oh, if I just had more willpower, willpower doesn't work. If it worked, then nobody would have any problem. Somebody would have figured out a willpower development program, but they haven't. There's no such thing as willpower. You know what works? setting up an environment to support the life you want to lead. Period. If you want to lead a positive life, you have positivity all around you. If you want to lead a life and have good, healthy food in your life, then you've got good, healthy food in your refrigerator, in your freezer, in your pantry, everywhere. You don't keep the crap around that causes problems. Now, one thing is there are people who are living, well, let's call it a mixed bag situation, where you've got family members who want their, they want their Oreos or whatever. And Oreos are just a big stumbling thing for you. Then this is what you do. Do you see what these are? These are Post-it notes. And let's say your goal is 15 pounds. You've got 15 pounds. You know what? First quarter of 2021, I'm going to lose 15 pounds. I'm going to stay accountable. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. But the Oreos are in the pantry. This is what you do. You put that right there on that package of Oreos, and you tell the family, look, you guys can eat anything you want, whatever, but do not take my sticky notes off of any package that I've got a sticky note on. Because you open up that pantry and what do you see? You see your goal in front of your eyes. Behind that goal, that's where those darned Oreos are. And then you make an assessment. Is it worth it? Most of the time you're going to say no. If it's bad, you can also move it out and figure out another pantry for the family for all that garbage that you don't want to eat, or in the refrigerator, put it in there are things that you can do. Use your imagination. Make a decision though, that this is something that doesn't work for you, and then figure it out. But I'm going to tell you, this is super powerful, and it'll quickly bring you right back to center. You will not fall off the cliff, okay? Number 6 is energy flows where your attention goes. If you put all of your attention on all the stuff that didn't work instead of, it's fine to put your attention on the stuff that didn't work and figure out how to fix it or what to leave behind and then whatever. But if you're just sitting there going, well, if only I had done this back in 2015 when I lost all that weight, if only I had, and this, that, and the other, and you're living in the past, you're going to give a lot of energy to something that can't do a darn thing for you. We can look at the past to pull out the lesson. We call it the experience file. Put your experience in the experience file, extrapolate the lesson, that's it. Otherwise, this woe is me business is going to hang you up. It's going to keep you from marching forward. It's going to keep you from creating this new habit that can help you out. Because habits are everything. Habit is what determines where you're going with your life. Habit, habit, habit. Lizzie says, pinkies up, she's right. And then the last thing is that simple is the way to do it. It doesn't have to be complex. As a matter of fact, complexity leads to just ditching the whole thing. It's too hard. So keep it simple. And one thing that you can do to keep it simple is to take a habit that's already developed and piggyback on it. This is how I do my 4-minute workouts. I have habits that I already have down. So getting the 4-minute workout, when I'm done with the dishwasher being emptied, because I do that habitually every morning, racing the coffee pot, in order to get that cup of coffee, which I so desperately want at that point, I got to do a 4-minute workout. And it takes no time at all. And the feeling of elation of accomplishing this one little tiny thing first thing in the morning is all worth it. And that's a piggyback. That's an example of a piggyback habit. Use your piggyback habits. One habit on one already very well established habit. Just one. You don't want to piggyback your entire routine, because then you're just going to go crazy and it's not going to get done. That's overdoing it. Just one habit. It makes a huge difference. It changes the trajectory of everything. And it's easy if that light switch goes off simply, because now you have made the switch. You've made it go off. It's just like looking in the pantry. You see this 15 and you're like, no thank you to the Oreos. We just need something to trigger it. That's why we use a mindful mug. A mindful mug reminds us to be mindful as we're sitting down to dinner and not just hoover it down and like we're in a food eating contest of some kind. So remember this, that it's never one and done. When we're developing a habit, it's something that we want to do daily or a couple of times a day or whatever it is. It's never one and done. It's repetition, it's consistency, and that's how you create flow. And when we can do that, and we just feel like, okay, so this is how it's going to be, this is how I'm going to get it done, this is what it's going to be about, I'm telling you, you feel like a completely different person. Well, you are a completely different person because you're developing something new. You're developing a new way to live your life that's creating the vibrancy that you want. So you got to break up with the abusive cycle. We all know about that, right? We have this abusive cycle. Well, I can't do it. It's too hard. I'm on the struggle bus. I can't. And when we go into this abusive cycle, that just takes everything that I just talked about and just tosses it. Because you've already told yourself that you can't. And that's simply not true. That's an old cycle. We got to break it. That's breaking a bad habit. Break up with this abusive cycle the same way you would break up with an abusive boyfriend. They've got to go. Because, you know, we think, okay, well, it's going to be okay this time or whatever. It's like the equivalency of having this bad boyfriend bring you flowers for, you know, being such a horrible person. It doesn't work that way. You go back into the cycle. You might start at the top and say, well, it's a fresh day, I can start over. Well, yeah, but we have to do disruptive things to get ourselves out of these abusive loops that we put ourselves into, these negative loops. And we need to instead step into all those things that I just told you about. So how do you do this? Well, you track your habit every single day. You write it down every single day. It's scheduled out and it's in your planner. Every single day, you celebrate this win. If you want to see an example of this in our Hot Melt Sprint group, go look in the Hot Melt Sprint group. I haven't looked today, but I'm going to bet you dollars to donuts, sorry, shouldn't say that, you are going to see a post from Norma in there. Every single day, Norma checks in. Every single day, she says, doing great. Every single day, she says, gonna go get the walking in. Every single day, she takes a selfie picture. And then she puts a couple of, like a Bible verse or some kind of cute little emoji thingy or like little pictures. But that's her check-in every single day. Monday, Friday, Thursday, Sunday, Saturday, all the days. That's what Norma does. And what's Norma getting? Norma's getting results. Norma's getting results. Yes, Norma inspires. She does. And every time I see it, it's like, that a girl, Norma. I might not say anything all that every day, but I'm looking at Norma, I'm seeing what she's getting, and this is the result of starting a habit. This is what she's done. And she's staying accountable. And she's checking in. And she's gold starring it. And she's doing all the things. You do those things for yourself and you're going to get the same results. This is how human beings are wired. You know, we can get to this place of creating new habits. We just need to make up our minds that this is what we're going to do. And when you acknowledge this, you affirm it. When you acknowledge and affirm it, then you get more of it. Do you see how that whole thing works? Because it is a domino effect. It is motivational. It is momentum, and therefore it's magic. This is what happens when we do this. And you become fully invested in yourself, in your life, watching your goal become. How exciting is that? Not just writing them down, and it's a New Year's resolution, but actually living this, actually living it, actually having this as your life. That's the fun part. And it becomes a reality. And you know, it's like saving money when you invest in yourself. It's like if you made a decision and you get paid, let's say you get paid twice a month, right? And you made a decision, out of every paycheck, I'm going to save $100. I'm not even going to pretend, it's just immediately going to go into my bank account, right? My savings account. At the end of the year, you're going to have $2,400 that you otherwise, what would you have done with it? Frittered away, whatever, but you've made an intentional agreement with yourself to invest in yourself. And I'm asking you to do the same kind of thing. Invest in yourself every single day. Invest in yourself with good habits. Invest in yourself with taking your supplements, getting enough sleep, getting some movement in, and really taking good care of yourself. Because you get it, you get one opportunity. This is your bodysuit, y'all. It houses your soul. We don't get to trade them in like we trade in our cars. We get this one. This is it. So if we take good care of ourselves, if we up level our lives to the place that we want to go by creating the habits that we want, by being fully invested, we are going to start to get the things that we want back out of our lives from these habits. Because the habits are the things that support the goals. This is how we do everything, you know? This is how we do it. This is how we build the bridge with all the tools that we have. So let's take a really quick recap, shall we? First of all, in order to create a habit, you have to have an affirmation, an I am. You have to have an intention that puts you in a place of commitment. You have to have a schedule, and you have to work your habit, your new habit, whatever it is, into your daily schedule, and it needs to be written down. You need to have an environment to support what it is that you want, whether it's putting sticky notes on food you don't want to be eating, or putting your quote deck out and having little positive things around you all the time. You got to do it. And then your energy flows. Keep your intention in front of you. Keep things around you that help you in flow. Your accountability is everything. Your accountability keeps you in place so that you can't Lone Ranger it and just go trotting off to the left here and just, you know, forgetting all about it. Don't do that. Because when you do it, when you let go of your community, you're breaking the chain. You're breaking the connection. Get back in there. People miss you. And then number 7 is just keep it simple. Your brain loves simple. It's a lot easier to dupe your brain and get your brain to cooperate than it is with complexity. So piggyback your new habit, and remember, everything that I've just talked about, this all just kind of tumbles into each other. It's not complex. It's not difficult. It's simple. And it can be a lot easier once you get things going. Allow momentum to work its magic, because it will. All right? Thanks for joining me today. I really appreciate you. Peace be with you. Bye. Thank you for joining me today. You can find me on TikTok for daily tips to help support your most vibrant life. And remember, you are the author of your own story. Until next time.